Okay, so let's talk about Martin Heidegger. You've probably heard his name, and you probably know he's one of the most brilliant, but also one of the most difficult thinkers of the 20th century. But what a lot of people don't know is that his career has this fascinating puzzle at its core, a massive pivot away from the exact kind of philosophy that made him famous in the first place. I mean, think about it. Here's this giant of philosophy at the absolute peak of his powers, and it's happening right in the middle of the Second World War. And he makes this sharp turn. He shifts his focus from the dense, abstract logic of metaphysics to poetry, specifically the hymns of German poets. It just seems like such a strange move, right? Almost like an escape. But for Heidegger, it was the only way forward. So what's going on here? Why turn from philosophy to poetry?
To really get a handle on this, you gotta look at the timeline. So in 1927, he drops his masterpiece, Being in Time. This thing is a landmark. It basically cements his reputation as a philosophical titan. But fast forward to World War II, and his head is somewhere else entirely. He's diving deep into the philosophy of art. And by 1942, he's giving these incredibly detailed lectures on the poet Friedrich Hölderlin. Now, this wasn't just some side project. This was a complete reorientation of his entire life's work.
So what on earth did he find in poetry that he thought philosophy was missing? Well, Heidegger came to believe that traditional philosophy had kind of run its course. It had hit a dead end. He was looking for a completely different kind of truth, one that he believed was hidden in the power of language, and specifically in art.
See, for Heidegger, the whole history of Western philosophy had led us, step by step, to our modern technological age. And in this worldview, everything, and I mean everything, rivers, forests, even people, is seen as just a resource, a standing reserve to be managed, optimized, and controlled. But he saw another path, a poetic truth he called Dichtung, and he believed this could do something philosophy couldn't anymore. It could actually open up entirely new worlds of meaning and allow being itself to show up in a fresh way. Now, when Heidegger says poetry or Dichtung, he doesn't just mean little verses that rhyme. For him, it's any powerful use of language that shatters our ordinary, everyday understanding of the world. It's an event. It's an act that literally unconceals truth and sets a whole new understanding of reality into motion.
And that's the power he saw in art. It wasn't just a passive mirror reflecting the world. No, a truly great work of art, if it finds people to appreciate and preserve it, could literally cause a new and essential world to erupt into history. It's an active, world-shaping force. And to find this world-shaping power in action, Heidegger turned to a very specific source, the hymns of the German poet Friedrich Hölderlin. He believed that Hölderlin was a poet who was wrestling with the destiny of an entire historical age. In those 1942 lectures, he did this incredible deep dive on these powerful hymns like the Ister and Remembrance. His goal was almost like a detective's, to trace how Hölderlin's poetry could uncover a new, non-metaphysical way of thinking, and even more importantly, a new way of dwelling in the world.
And this brings us to another one of those big Heidegger words, Geschick. You can translate it as destiny or sending. The idea is that each period in history gets a particular sending of being that shapes everything, our rules, our possibilities, the very way we see the world. And Heidegger thought that poets like Hölderlin, were like antennas. They were the ones who could pick up on this destiny and give it a voice.
So all of this deep analysis of poetry wasn't just an academic exercise. It was all leading him to a radical new vision for what it even means to be human, a concept he called dwelling poetically.
You have to remember, for Heidegger, art isn't about making a nice painting of a tree. It's about creating a space, an opening, where the truth of that tree and the whole world it belongs to can suddenly appear in a brand new light. He called this space the Lichtung, which literally means the clearing, and that's the perfect metaphor. Think about walking through a super dense forest. A clearing is this open space that allows things to be lit up, to come forward and really be seen. But by lighting some things up, it automatically leaves other parts of the forest in shadow. A great work of art does the same thing. It creates a clearing for a new truth to emerge. So what's the function of this poetic clearing? It's to shock us out of that technological mindset. It's to spark a feeling of wonder. A river stops being just a source of hydroelectric power. It becomes this powerful, mysterious presence. Poetry lifts things up beyond just how useful they are to us. And this, right here, this is the absolute heart of his leader philosophy. What's our most basic way of being in the world? It's dwelling. And that doesn't just mean having a house, it means being truly at home in the world. And to be at home, to dwell well, we have to dwell poetically. So what does this poetic dwelling actually feel like? Well, it creates this mood almost like a festival or a holiday. We start to see the world as a gift, something given to us. Things stop being just inert objects for us to use. They become part of a sacred order that calls for our love and respect. It's all about shifting from a mindset of control to one of open receptivity. This whole vision comes together in a final, really beautiful framework that Heidegger developed straight from his studies of Hölderlin. He called it the fourfold, and it's basically a blueprint for this new way of being.
The fourfold simply names the four essential dimensions that come together to make a world. You have the earth beneath our feet and the sky above us with the sun, moon, and the seasons. Then you have us, the mortals, living between them, defined by the fact that our lives are finite. And finally, you have the divinities, the presence of the holy or the sacred in our lives. But, and this is the absolute key, this is not just a list of four separate things. Heidegger actually calls it a dance. The earth needs the sky's rain to flourish. We mortals live our lives between earth and sky with some sense of the holy. Each part is what it is only because of its relationship with all the others. And this is why the fourfold is such a game changer. Traditional philosophy, what you could call substantialism, tended to see things as self-contained objects. A rock is just a rock, period. But in the fourfold's way of seeing, nothing exists by itself. A rock is what it is only through its deep connection to the earth that holds it, the sky that weathers it, the mortals who might build with it, and the sense of permanence or sacredness it might give us. It's a totally relational way of seeing the world. And so all of this leaves us with a question that feels, if anything, more urgent today than it did in 1942. In our world of nonstop data, of technological calculation and optimization, a world that Heidegger would see as the absolute peak of that technological mindset, how can we possibly find the space for this other way of being? How can any of us find a way to dwell poetically?